Welcome to GovCon Unfiltered, where your journey through the labyrinth of federal contracting begins. I'm Alex Khayo, your guide and host on this epic adventure. Here, we dive deep into the heart of government contracting, shedding light on the heroic tales of those who navigate its complex terrain. Our mission? To bring you closer to the action, revealing the critical steps, triumphant victories, and occasional pitfalls that our intrepid adventurers face. Your journey into the world of government contracting starts now, and we could not be happier to have you with us. Let's embark on this adventure together. Thank you for joining me on GovCon Unfiltered. Today, my guest is Alex Khayo, CEO of LEIDIT. This is a very exciting conversation. I cannot wait to kick this off. Before we get started, could you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Well, first, I'd like to thank you, Alexa, for having me today. I appreciate it so much. And it's a great opportunity to chat with you on the air. So my name is Alex Khayo, and I am the CEO of LEIDIT. I have been the CEO of LEIDIT for a few years. We started back in late 2017, was a two-person company, and we grew. LEIDIT is a ServiceNow elite partner. We're fully focused on ServiceNow as a platform from a technology perspective. And we operate in the federal space as well as commercial and a little bit of international as well. So again, thank you so much, Alexa, for the opportunity to be with you today.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sort of getting a little bit famous for saying the riches are in the niches in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like ServiceNow is one of those areas from like a deployment, a support, building that really people are finding a lot of success. And your company was an early adopter.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, how did you even learn about ServiceNow? Like what had you embark on this journey?
Yeah, that's a great question because I heard of ServiceNow as a ticketing tool, right? I was using ServiceNow as a ticketing tool as a user back in 2014, I want to say is when I started. And it was just a replacement for Remedy. So nothing special, right? And then as part of my work as a contractor, I stumbled across the platform to learn more about the capabilities of the platform, which was way beyond just a ticketing tool. And this is back in 2016, right? Where the platform was nothing compared to where it is today. But what I saw was very interesting. I saw that you can actually build applications on the platform. So it's not just a ticketing tool. You can actually customize, and we'll be careful how we use the word customize here, but you can build, you can configure, right? But when I saw that you can build a completely scoped separate application that technically speaking has nothing to do with the platform modules that are out of the box. So basically you can address any use case you want. So think of it as access on steroids, right? And it's on the cloud and everybody can use it. I was like, this is great. And, and so I learned how to do that. So that was the first time where I actually discovered what the capabilities of the platform were. And then the rest is history. Obviously, where it was back in 2016 is nothing compared to where it is today in terms of the use cases, right?
Right. Absolutely. So I think let's dive into the questions we have for today. What's a risk that you took that seemed crazy at the time, but it fundamentally changed your trajectory? And how did you build the confidence to take that leap?
Well, there is definitely one thing that comes to mind when I'm talking about a risk-based decision that I took in my life. The biggest decision I took in my life was actually immigrating to the US, because as you might know, I immigrated about 10 years ago in 2015. And this is after having visited the US maybe 12 or 15 times. Like throughout my career, I've been almost coming every 1 or 2 years to the US. So I already established a small community of contacts, right?
Right.
But at some point in 2013, 14, one of my friends here was like, Alex, why don't you come over here to the US and work here? And I can support you. Maybe we can hire you. He owned a company back then. And he was like, you're so smart. We work together. And, I think you should try to make it and move here and establish a career. I was like, you know what? I didn't think about it. I mean, it's an idea, but I never thought that I can actually do it. I was like, listen, I can help you. I can sponsor you because you've been working with the US government at USAID as a foreign service national. After 15 years, you get to apply for a special immigrant visa. So you should do that. I was like, okay, I'll sleep on it. And so then, I talked to my wife back then. This was probably early 2014. I'm like, hey, here's an idea. What do you think? And she was like, okay, yeah, why not? I was like,
Why
that's
not?
the last thing I expected is like a quick approval, right? But she happened to be also to have lived in the US for at least, I guess, 6 to 8 years total in her, throughout her education, higher education. So that's probably the biggest decision I had to take. And you're talking about approaching a family from one country to another. I mean, that may sound simple, right? But it's not. It's, um,
No, that
it's a
does not
lot
sound
of,
simple.
yeah, it's a lot of unknowns, a lot of risk. And so I struggled with that decision. It was a big decision. I was comfortable where I was. I had a good job, stable, you name it. My wife had a job, kids at school. And so I was at a point where I just couldn't make the decision. So I actually came over here in February 2015. Wow, that's literally 10 years ago. So I just booked a ticket on my own expense. I came here and I met with some people and I wanted to make up my mind. Like I had to decide, right? Because I got approved for the special immigrant visa. And that has a timeline. I think I had a year. If I didn't exercise that option, it would go away forever. So it's not going to be an option again, right? So I came
Right.
here, I met with a few people, and basically, I just followed my instinct. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I had to quit my job. I didn't have a job yet here. Was a lot of unknowns. I didn't know how it's going to turn out. I was prepared for failure. Anything could happen. Plan A, plan B, plan C. And I think that was the toughest period in my life, the toughest decision that I had to make. And if I go back now, I will do it again and again. Wasn't easy
Wow,
though.
again and again.
Yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you. We're glad that you also made that decision. Looking back at your journey, who was the one person, and maybe it was the guy that owned that company, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you're going to say, but like, who was the one person that opened an unexpected door for you, and how has that experience influenced how you help others today? Because you're in a unique situation, being a business owner, hiring, building, growing.
Mm-hmm. So that person, my friend Bill, he definitely was a key person that affected like my whole life, right? And so he did obviously open an unexpected door, but I'm going to answer this question with another person who I admire because despite his position at the time and where I was, because I was a contractor and this was a CIO, right, at an agency.
Hmm.
And this is with regards to your question about ServiceNow and how did I discover platform and power of the platform. So, the agency owned the platform, right? And
Right.
they were only using ITSM, the service management part for ticketing, right? And only using it for IT ticketing and wasn't even entirely properly utilized from an efficiency perspective. And then I discovered that you can actually do a lot more on it. And at the time with the licensing model, it wouldn't cost even more, right? So you're already covered from a licensing perspective. You have a platform that is already owned by the organization. It's centralized, it's on the cloud, and it can be used by anyone. Better yet, you can have anyone do the development if you have a good governance structure, right? And that
Right.
was a revelation to me because before that, in this agency with posts abroad, right, you had many decentralized systems being built at those posts, right? And they could
Right.
have, and there could be duplications. Like host A could build an asset management system, host B could build a
Yep.
different asset management system. And most of those applications were built on Access, and it's a local copy of the Access database, or it could be built on an SQL server. It's a local copy of that database. So when I found out that you can actually build applications on a platform that is on the cloud and you can share the usage across the whole agency, right? All posts. Like, wait a minute, this is great. Because at the same time, the CIO at the time decided that we're not going to have any host develop their own application on Access. This was more of a centralized approach to control
Right.
what do we own, right? What do we have? So at the same time, it happened that there was a requirement to kind of collect all information on Access or other applications that are hosted at Posts. And we need to migrate those to some cloud platform, right? Nothing
Right.
was identified yet. It was pretty fresh. When I discovered that ServiceNow can do all of that, I actually learned the platform. I brought at the time, who is my partner today, Anwar, and we discussed building some of those use cases that we know from the posts and missions that can be built on ServiceNow. So we got certified. We built a few prototypes. And now what, right? Who would entertain this thought, right? So I reached out to the CIO, Jay, at the time. And I was like, what if he never responds? Like, who am I, right? I mean, I'm nobody, and I'm reaching out to the CIO to present an idea, but I managed to reach out through email. I went to his secretary and I said, I have an idea. I'd like to share it with the CIO. I don't know what the protocol is, but I'd love to at least have him hear me for 5 minutes. And to my surprise, it worked. He had his secretary schedule a meeting with me. He heard me and he was very much interested in the idea. And I was actually shocked that he opened the door for me. And that is the whole beginning of the story, really, is that if that door wasn't opened, I don't know what would have happened, right? So I
Right.
appreciated the fact that at the level of the CIO, when he heard of an idea, and obviously probably saw my email of what that idea is, he accepted that contractor to come into his office and share a thought that could actually transform operations at the agency. And so to that, and I have a lot of respect for him. And I think he was someone who literally shifted my career towards this direction.
So I know that CIO, Jay Mohannan.
Yeah.
He is amazing, and what a wonderful powerhouse talent. When he scampered off into the underbrush to do something else, I think there was a big void left there. Jason Gray is awesome too,
Yeah.
but goodness, doesn't everybody miss some Jay Mohannan? He just approached things from a very fearless perspective as a CIO, and I felt like that made all the difference, to be honest with you, because the problem that you were solving, like asset management across the enterprise, is not just a problem that one agency has. It is a government-wide, regardless of a mission, problem that I think ServiceNow could solve globally. But for him to see that immediate need, and for you to be sitting there telling him, like, I can do this, sorry, thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. And again, respect to him that he opened the door and he acknowledged the value, but it wasn't just a meeting, right? He was like, okay, show me.
Right.
You go build it and show me. I know you built a prototype here and there, but I need to see it. And so we did it. And so that translated into eventually becoming the
Right.
first ServiceNow platform contract at USAID, at that agency.
I love it. Wonderful. So when you think about your network, I know that like getting in front of CIOs and showing what you can do, what you've built, it's a very great approach actually from like a white paper perspective. These are approaches that do work, especially when you can build and you can show the solutions that you bring to bear, right? But when you think about your network, what's been your most effective approach, not just for building connections, but really for turning those connections into meaningful relationships? And I think about us too, Alex, and about how I met you and worked with you in a couple different capacities. And then, we're still connected to this day. So tell a little bit about your philosophy there.
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. I think we humans, at the end of the day, we rely on relationships in many ways, right? But my disadvantage was that I wasn't born and raised up here, generally in the US or specifically in this region, right? Or within this space, like, whether it's the federal space or the technology space. I came from abroad and I struggled to build a network of connections, right? Because I didn't have many. I had a few, right? So I think I struggled initially because I didn't have the network and I didn't know even from a business perspective, like what to expect, right? But then I went back to the basics. What is important in a relationship, right? I think trust is the most important thing, in my opinion. Like I need to build this trustworthy. If you don't trust me, it's hard to have a relationship with me. It will be superficial. So we go back to the values, right? It's honesty, trust, transparency. It's similar to having your social relationship, right? I mean, yeah, you probably need to have relationships with people to have fun, but how can you have long lasting relationships? It's not built on, what is most important to you as a person, right? So
Right.
looking back at the network, when you're nobody, let's put it this way, when nobody heard about you or your name, it's much harder. So it's usually establishing that kind of baseline of a reputation, if you will. I call it the
Right.
reputation capital. It's as important as, your financial capital, in my opinion, if not more. Because
Yeah.
when somebody hears Alexa, for example, they're like, oh, wow, Alexa. Yeah, I've heard about her. I know her. She's a great person. She's wonderful. That's the thing you want to be associated with, right? And you are. I don't mean this as an example, that is
I
not true.
appreciate you. Thank you.
So, or how do you know Alexa? Where did you meet her? It comes with
Yeah.
excitement and you feel that there is a positive aspect to it, right? So I believe in reputation capital all across, whether it's socially or within the business arena, right?
Yeah.
And just be genuine, be who you are,
Yeah.
and I try to be who I am. It's not easy to navigate sometimes relationships within a workplace, within the ecosystem and so on. But I actually turned back to just being who I am, as simple as that. I want to be honest, genuine, and transparent. And I would hope people would do the same. But if not, I'll just take it and move on.
I love this advice about being genuine. I'm known for being authentic. My podcast is called GovCon Unfiltered. I want people to show up. I like to hold space for people to be humans. And I feel like when I got a chance to get to know you on like a deeper level, I was like, man, I was missing out on this opportunity this whole time. I should have been having like deeper conversations with you, and I find that I think that a lot when I meet people at events, but I haven't had the time to sit down and get to know
Mhm.
them. So I really appreciate that answer. Thank you. And also for the kind words. If you could go back and give yourself some advice when you were just starting out, what would you say about balancing the competition and really the collaboration in this
Yeah,
space, which is going to go back to your
yeah,
reputation
yeah.
kind of a thing, right? What advice would you give the baby Alex?
So I'll tell you what happened first and then the advice. I think initially I was super confused because I'm like, wait a minute. So how do I like, I'll just be very specific in the ServiceNow ecosystem, like we're, partners and there is ServiceNow in the middle and then there's the clients, right? All partners are partners with each other with ServiceNow, but they're also competitors to each other.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
initially I was confused. How does this work? Like you're a competitor. Should I be careful when I talk to you? Like, should I give information that maybe I am naive and I shouldn't give away? I honestly didn't know. I was super confused. Like, I was like, I wish everyone is just transparent and straightforward because I'm not sure I can play this game. I don't know how to play this game. I don't know how it works. And so I was super confused. It took a long while to figure it out as I became more confident about understanding the ecosystem, about knowing the different partners in the space and interests and so on. So my advice would be, first of all, you need to get a mentor. I think you need someone who
Yes.
has been there, done that, right? Who can give, and you need someone who's authentic and like, really giving you the right advice, right? And that's not easy to find, especially when you're new to the whole ecosystem. So I actually kind of slowly learned that, right? And started to learn it and started to get into some good relationships that helped me understand how to balance this out. So yeah, I would tell myself, find the best mentor you can out there, try to ask around and figure out who can help because I need to learn, right? And then again, go back to the basics. A partner is a partner. A partner can be a competitor. You go back to again the basics. Your honesty, transparency, no games. I mean, I know some, people, some, companies, they work around things, with regards to relationships or hide things and show things or whatever. Tell you something, maybe do another. I don't know. I'm just saying I couldn't
Right.
do that. And I thought that's how it should be done. But then I realized, no, just again, go back to the basics, be who you are, be honest, be
Right.
transparent. and just learn. And, I can tell you this at this point. I am actually blessed to be within this ecosystem because no matter what competition we went through as partners, I love them all. I really admire the partners out there. We learn from each other's wrongdoings as well, right? And what went well and how we can learn from that. And I can't wait for the next event where we meet. Honestly, I have to me, I enjoy the time. It's so much fun. We hang out, we have happy hours, we go out, and this is competitors, right? But they're partners.
Hmm.
So I learned that, at the end of the day, this is how it works. You compete respectfully, congratulate the winner. If you lose, you go back and learn from your mistakes or what you can do better and work together with partners to build stronger relationships and better teams to the benefit of the client. I think it's way simpler than I thought it was. Just go back to the basics and reputation. Again, it's a partner role. We ask about each other, right? It's very
Oh
easy.
yeah.
What do you think about X? And you'll either hear something good or something bad. I'd rather it be something good, right? And so I work towards that end. And I finally realized that it's a beautiful ecosystem, partners, competitors, and, we can all work together and we can all succeed.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. Working in the ServiceNow space is very exciting. And the AEs, the people on the ServiceNow side, what a tremendous group of people. Like
Yeah.
actually phenomenal. And the partners as well. And you're right, it's very competitive space, but still you have those people that will help you if you pick up the phone.
Yeah.
That's and across the board in government contracting as a whole, I find that the networking piece to be one of the what makes this industry different from maybe some of the others.
Yeah, absolutely. And luckily within this ecosystem, we have a lot of networking events. Whether it's,
Yes.
ServiceNow hosting an event because they want to, have the partners learn about a new technology or even partners, right? Having their own happy hours and inviting other partners, right? Or obviously, forums like Fed Forum or Knowledge, the big ServiceNow conference or the partner kickoff in January. I just had two big events this past, period, January kickoff towards the end of January. And then a couple of weeks later, we had Fed Forum. And
Yeah.
just so much fun. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I love it. I think you should also enjoy your time in this industry. And I think that a lot of people feel like, oh, just keep working hard, keep pushing the rock up the hill. But then it's going to always feel like work, right? But there's a real opportunity here to like the people that you work with, to really believe in what you're doing
Yeah.
and apply that to the government missions. And really, it's going to turn your whole career into a calling.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that work doesn't happen without people. Like you need to interact with
Yeah,
people all the time,
right.
whether it's your client, your employee, or your partner, or your competitor. And you mentioned ServiceNow AEs and SCs, and within the ServiceNow, they're all just wonderful people. I mean, like you pick up the phone, they're super helpful. And, and they do this across the board, right? And what's happening recently, everybody has been super helpful. If I pick up the phone, hey, I need this or that. They're amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. All right, so we're coming up on our last question. Looking ahead at the next few years, what emerging opportunities do you see that others might be overlooking, and how can people really position themselves to take advantage of it? This is a pivotal question. Right now, everybody's like, there's been such a discombobulation in the industry, so I'm really curious to hear your answer.
Yeah. Well, so there's, like you said, so many things happening. It's actually a little dizzying this period, because there is the technological advances. You have AI, like you can expect anything any day. Like literally every day, I hear of something new. And it's not something new like, what happened back in the late 90s. The internet came out and then that seemed like overwhelming at the time. But looking back, now it looks like it was so slow actually, like
Right.
for Google to come out 10 years after the internet became a thing. It seemed like too slow. And today AI model X versus AI model Y versus AI models coming out every day practically, right, or every other week, and we can't keep up, right? So technology it's challenging in terms of keeping up and trying to capitalize on the right one, but it's an opportunity, right? That said, I think like technologies will keep evolving. We'll keep learning new things. We'll keep applying new technologies. We'll learn how to work with the new technologies and so on. And then there is like, this triangle of technology, people, process, right? Everything revolves in the IT sector around those. Like there is a technology a system that you're using. There is a process that you need to follow, and there's people, right? And if you think about it from my perspective, I mean, who builds the technology, right? It's people. People are building the technology. Who creates the process? We people create the process. It's our process. Process does not just invent itself.
Right.
So to me, at the center of everything is people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to capitalize on what's going to happen next, in my opinion, it's investment in people. Because no matter what AI model comes out, and no matter what robotic thing will come out to replace, hands on keyboards or to develop on behalf of the developer, you still need a person behind it. We are the creators, we are the contributors, and we are the users. We're at the center of everything. If there is no human to consume, we're the consumers too of that technology. Mm-hmm. So how do we capitalize and transition our skills to be able to merge within this new ecosystem that's going to come up as a result of technological advantages is what I think the opportunity. I think the focus should be on people, right? Skills. I'm going to say this and it might sound weird or funny, but health, right? Like we need to be healthy, right? We need to be healthy physically and emotionally. And we need to learn the skills that will allow us to be able to cope. And I believe in it. I mean, from our perspective as a company, we have a health program, fitness program that is amazing. And this is not just, how many steps you walk a day. We actually designed a full program for our teams to compete against each other. And it's just a beautiful program. It improved the fitness almost unanimously across the board of each person. And it's fun. It's like team building as well. To me, it's an investment. It's worth it because, a healthy body, healthy mind, I believe in that, right? So my simple answer to this question is looking forward, I would focus on people.
Wonderful. What a great answer. And, catch us next time on GovCon Unfiltered. But for today, Alex, thank you so much for your contributions and for being here today. This has been awesome.
Thank you so much, Alexa. Great seeing you, and hopefully I'll see you in person sometime soon.
Yes, absolutely.